Hi there. Let's take a few minutes to solve question 10.28 together. So I'd like you to be able to find critical values using the t-distribution. So we have to be mindful not only of the area that we need to consider to find that critical value, but also the degrees of freedom. So in part A, I want 95% confidence. So if I want to account for the middle 90% of my sampling distribution, that essentially means that I am ignoring the 5% at the bottom and at the top. So here is where T star is going to be located. That's the value that I'm looking for. That's going to tell me how many of my sampling standard deviations above and below the mean I want to go in order to build my confidence interval. So to do that, I just need to put in 0.95, and the degrees of freedom are one less than the sample size. That would be 11. So on your calculator, if you press second variables, you want to use the invt command to do that. If not, you can use the program invt. Either way, you're going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to put in the 0.95, that's the area. The degrees of freedom will be one less than the number of observations. That would be 11. And there we go. So your critical value is, call it 1.796. So in part A, our T star is about 1.796. Let's do part B. So in part B, we have a 95% confidence interval. We have a simple random sample of 30 observations. So again, my guess is you might be getting the hang of this, but I'm going to draw the picture anyway. So I want to account for that middle 95% of my sampling distribution. So when I'm looking for T star out here, I have a lower 2.5% and an upper 2.5% that I have essentially cut off. So to find that value of T star, I don't want to put in just the 0.95. I also have to include the lower 2.5% that I've cut off. So I need for my area to put in 0.975, and there are 30 observations, so that gives us 29 degrees of freedom. So here we go, not too hard. 0.975 and 29 degrees of freedom. And our critical value, we'll call it 2.045 for part B. So then the last one, part C, an 80% confidence interval from a sample of size 18. So this one I'm going to try doing here without a picture. So remember, I want to essentially account for 80% of the variability in the sampling distribution. So I'm cutting off the lower 10% and the upper 10%. So the area that I want to enter isn't 0.8, it's 0.9. I also want to include that lowest 10% that I've essentially cut off, and my sample size is 18. So that should give you the correct degrees of freedom of 17. So one last time, you can either use the command or you can use the program. So this time 0.9 will be the area, and our degrees of freedom are 17. This same procedure you can use to find your critical value, your t-score, for any situation you like. So it looks like we're at 1.333 approximately. That ought to be good enough for part C. Hope this has been helpful.